immigration is a thing, right? I mean, immigration exists. It always exists. It's always going to exist. People are going to cross borders. People are going to move around. Everybody in this classroom, either you're a temporary immigrant because you're an international student who's come here, right? But everybody who's here is an immigrant in some way. Some people, your ancestors didn't choose it. You were forced to be here. Other people, ancestors maybe didn't choose it in the sense that they were just really poor and they got here. But everybody else is really an immigrant. And that's kind of the nature of the world, right? Human beings, we've just been traveling around the world and doing the immigration thing. So we got to figure out what to do about this constantly, right? Because we're working with, I don't know how, you can't stop it. You're not going to stop immigration. You can build walls, right? We started building a wall on our southern border, but there's like 60 countries in the world that have walls. We're not the only one. And so the walls, what are we going to do? What kind of policies are we going to have? And there's no one single way to think about it. It's a very complex issue. Also, this is coming out of the UN High Commission on Refugees. The UN right now is estimating because of climate change and climate collapse, okay, 1.2 billion climate refugees in 30 years. 1.2 billion, y'all. I just want to hold this out to you, right? 1.2 billion climate refugees in 30 years. That means by the time most of you are in your 50s, the world is dealing with 1.2 billion climate refugees, meaning that because of climate change, the changing climate. By the way, can I tell you something else you may not have heard? Today, today's a day in the world of demography. Does anyone know why this is a really, really big day? Did you know it too? The two of you know it? Go ahead, bro.
Did the world population pass 8 billion?
Yeah, 8 billion today. We hit 8 billion. Okay, so everyone hold this for a second. You want to really put your phone down. In 30 years, the estimate by very thoughtful people is that we could have over 1 billion climate refugees. People who have been forced out of their land, wherever they're living, they're forced from their way of life into some other place because they cannot survive in the way that they and their ancestors have been surviving in the land in which they reside. And they are going to go somewhere. And the world is going to have to figure out what to do. Okay? 1.2 billion. Do you have a quick thought? Anyone want to just venture to say just a quick thought before I show you a couple things? What should we do? Do you have a thought on that? Just a feeling about it, a thought on it?
I was just thinking that there's probably going to have to be a lot more construction, and they're going to have to start cutting down forests and things like that for there to be more space where people don't live right now. But other than that, basically.
Yeah, okay, which we don't want to do. Okay, so bro, have you ever thought about this? Do you know anything about this? What do you think it means for you? And then Jada, I want to ask you, what do you think it means for you?
I mean, if more people are refugees and leaving their homes, I think it's just going to make cities and already really populated areas that much more populated. So you're going to have crowding issues.
Yeah, so what's it mean for you?
Rent prices go up, housing goes up, and yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we're talking 1/8 of the world's population. Jada, how about you? What's it mean for you? Just for you as a human being.
I feel eventually, us, where we are right now, we're gonna have to make a shift as well. I feel that's eventually gonna happen, but I really don't think about this, which is bad. But
why is it bad?
Because I should know, but I'm not informed at all.
Well, why should you know?
because it's happening in the world.
Yeah, but why should you know about what's happening in the world? A lot of
Because-
stuff's happening in the world.
Because ultimately, like, something that may not be resonating with you just yet is going to impact you eventually. So you should know.
Yeah, so listen, I'm not sure should is where it is, but yeah, everything's going to impact you for sure. So I guess the more you know, I guess the purpose of why I talk about this stuff is to build awareness, right? To make us better people, to make us think about things that we generally are not going to. So right now there's a famine in Somalia that's probably, it's in the Horn, it's called the Horn of Africa and Eastern Africa. And the famine is, there's, like, it's hard to assess really, but at least 8 million people who really have, at this stage, lost their livelihoods, because of climate changes. And they're going to go somewhere. And if you look at this photo, and I was looking at lots of photos, and why do you think there aren't any men? Where do you think the men are? Because I could show you a lot of photos of women and children lined up. I want to ask you, where do you think the men are?
They probably immigrated to other places where they can make more money for their families.
Yeah, they left. They're going to go somewhere. You know what they're going to do? They're going to do what everybody in this room would do. Every single one of us. You're going to go try to survive. You're going to do what you need to do for your family. You're going to go. So, when you think about, all these immigrants, whatever border they're on, the immigrants are us. We're all going to do that. Everyone. And now we got to figure out, okay, what do we do? What do we do? Right? So, you're talking, right now, we're talking about 8 million people. And I could show you photos that are really disturbing, but I decided not to do that. Go to the next slide. Here's the floods in Pakistan. This is directly linked to climate change. You can't even assess. You got, hundreds of square miles of land where you can't get out. You can't get out of the water. People are going to go somewhere, right? It's going to happen. This is the first major flood. This is the worst flooding by far and away Pakistan's ever had. And for those of you who don't really believe climate change or think it's not going to affect you, everywhere in the world, what we're seeing are we're seeing these climate events that areas of the world have never experienced ever. Ever. It's not just chance. Refugees going to Europe. They're going to go to Europe. They're going to go somewhere. But you're not going to stop it. I was in Europe over the summer, and I've been going back and forth to Europe for the past 30 years. It's like people are going. You're not going to stop people from going. You're not going to stop people in Florida from emigrating out of Florida when 25% of Florida is underwater in 30 years. They're going to be leaving, and they're going to go somewhere. And they're going to come north. And then you're going to be like, all right, what do we do? Right? Or here, these are refugees from Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan who are getting off a boat into land into what is now Greece and Cyprus. They're going to get off. You can stop the boats, right? Italy just stopped 2 boats from landing, but they sent them over to France, and France has said, all right, we're going to take them. People are going to come. And we can say, okay, but we're not going to let you land, but they're going to land. They're going to land.